The Information Technology Department held several meetings over past 3 days and systems were being monitored closely, officials said. It will also cover legal issues related to IT protocols that are currently dealt with under the Information Technology Act. Officials said the government reacted swiftly to the ransomware attack, issuing several of advisories to field officers across the state. The system that controls 5,280 computers in Mantralaya is safe, said Vijay Kumar Gautam, Principal Secretary, Information Technology Department. They added that said no sensitive data was compromised and that the malware did not breach the government's cyber defenses as the infected computers were standalone machines. Maharashtra government offices in a few places were affected by the wanacry ransomware, which has infected hundreds of thousands of computers in about 150 countries since Friday. The ransomware infected a few computers, including those in the Nagpur Police Department and a few other district-level field offices, officials said. They added that said no sensitive data was compromised and that the malware did not breach the government's cyber defenses as the infected computers were standalone machines. Meanwhile, the government announced it would prepare a cybersecurity policy in 3 months to avert any such future attacks. Officials said the government reacted swiftly to the ransomware attack, issuing several of advisories to field officers across the state. The Information Technology Department held several meetings over past 3 days and systems were being monitored closely, officials said. Despite this, computers in the police department at Nagpur and few other field officers were infected with wanacry, a type of malicious software, malware, that blocks access to a computer system until money is paid. Officials said the infected computers were standalone systems, not connected to the internet of the government's intranet internal network. As the world struggles to tame the massive wanacry attack, ransomware has emerged as the most dangerous cyber threat for both organizations and individuals in recent months, with global losses now likely running into hundreds of millions of dollars. Ransomware is a malicious software that locks a connected device, such as a computer, tablet, or smartphone, and then demands a ransom to unlock it. According to Norton by Symantec, one of the global leaders in cybersecurity software, there was a 36% increase in the ransomware attacks in 2016 and the ransomware families have grown 3 times, from 30 in 2014 to 101 in 2016. In 2016, we identified over 100 new malware families released into the wild, more than triple the amount seen previously, and a 36% increase in ransomware attacks worldwide. Taran Kaura, Director, Solutions Product Management, Asia Pacific and Japan, Symantec told IANS. India alone faces 4% of the total ransomware attacks while the US is most affected, with 34% of the ransomware attacks globally. India has been ranked 5th in terms of global threat rank by destination, with 3.8% global threat detection. Over 180 Indian companies were victims of ransomware or online extortion schemes in the first 6 months of 2016, said Trend Micro Incorporated, a global leader in security software and solutions. While most major ransomware groups tend to be indiscriminate in their attacks, consumers are often less likely to have robust security in place, increasing the possibility of falling victim. The average ransom demanded globally by attackers also saw an upward spike this year. The average ransom demanded to date in 2016 more than doubled from 19,670 rupees in 2015 to 45,428 rupees, a recent Norton by Symantec study highlighted. WannaCry, the ransomware malware used in Friday's massive cyber attack, has the ability to spread itself within corporate networks without user interaction by exploiting a known vulnerability in Microsoft Windows. Computers which do not have the latest Windows security updates are at the risk of infection. Odisha Police has issued a set of guidelines for users to be safe against the WannaCry ransomware. The crime branch of the Odisha Police issued advisory to prevent WannaCry ransomware attack which has wreaked havoc across 150 countries. The CB of Odisha Police in an advisory suggested keep anti-ransomware and antivirus software up to date. Virus definitions must be updated to protect against the threat. Always keep real-time protection and auto-update feature in active mode to prevent attack. It also suggested net users keep systems updated. If you are using Windows operating system, keep your system up to date or simply upgrade your system to the latest Windows version, i.e. Windows 10, it said, adding that if one is using Windows XP, Vista, Server 2003 or 2008, apply the emergency patch released by Microsoft. Enable and configure firewall, enable firewall, and if it is already there, modify your firewall configurations to block access to SMB ports over the network of the internet, it said. Disable SMB service. Backup your data regularly. To always protect your important files and documents, keep in place a good backup routine that makes copies to an external storage device not always connected to your PC. This will protect your data, it said. On email security, the CB advisory said always double-check before downloading any document as an attachment in email. Don't click on links inside those documents without verifying the source. While organizations have to beef up cybersecurity, in India's case, the government needed to be a lot more proactive. Among those affected were hospitals and doctors in the UK's national health system, Brazil's social security system and Petrobras, Renault's plant in Slovenia, and even parts of Russia's interior ministry. Reuters. For now, thanks to pure luck, a 22-year-old Briton, The Guardian reported, accidentally found a kill switch embedded in the code. The spread of wanacry appears to have halted or slowed. But not before. Estimates are 200,000 computers across 150 countries were infected by ransomware. Users found the data encrypted and were asked to pay ransom in bitcoins in order to be able to use them. Among those affected were hospitals and doctors in the UK's national health system, Brazil's social security system and Petrobras, Renault's plant in Slovenia, and even parts of Russia's interior ministry. Apart from the hacking of the Democratic Party's email servers earlier this year, The Economist reported that, last February, hundreds of thousands of point-of-sale printers in restaurants across the world started spewing out bizarre pictures which were signed with love from the hacker god himself. Last year saw cyber thieves steal $81 million from the Central Bank of Bangladesh. How unsafe the world has become is best brought out by the fact that the protectors are part of the problem and are not safe themselves. WannaCry was first developed by the USA's National Security Agency, NSA, which found a vulnerability in Windows and built a tool, Eternal Blue, to exploit that. Once this was, along with other hacking weapons, leaked on the internet by a group of hackers, others took it forward. Given how intelligence agencies like NSA need to constantly devise ways to crack computers, mobiles of criminals, developing malware is no longer restricted to just the bad guys. That the response to WannaCry has to be more security, and more security is obvious, include a cyber attack that hit 150 countries should be treated by governments around the world as a wake-up call, Microsoft has said. The computing giant said software vulnerabilities hoarded by governments had caused widespread damage, the BBC reported. A statement from Microsoft President and Chief Legal Officer Brad Smith criticized the way governments store up information about security flaws in computer systems. There are fears of further ransomware attacks as people return to work. The latest virus attack last week exploits a flaw in a version of Microsoft Windows first identified by US intelligence. Many firms have had experts working over the weekend to prevent new infections. The virus took control of users' files and demanded $300 payments to restore access, the BBC report said. The spread of the virus slowed over the weekend, but the respite might only be brief, experts have warned. More than 200,000 computers have been affected so far. We have seen vulnerabilities stored by the CIA show up on WikiLeaks, and now this vulnerability stolen from the U.S. military intelligence organization National Security Agency, NSA, has affected customers around the world, Smith wrote. An equivalent scenario with conventional weapons would be the U.S. military having some of its Tomahawk missiles stolen. The Microsoft president also added, the governments of the world should treat this attack as a wake-up call. Microsoft said it had released a Windows security update in March to tackle the problem involved in the latest attack, but many users were yet to run it. As cybercriminals become more sophisticated, there is simply no way for customers to protect themselves against threats unless they update the systems, BBC quoted Smith as saying.